You know those scenes in every horror movie where you have a random person wandering into a seemingly empty room, only for the volume to spike and oh god, and oh, it's fine, it's just Todd, or Brad, or random side character number 9582, it's no big deal. Point being, that initial, oh dear lord, what is it, is the quintessential feeling that some video games can actually nail better than their filmic counterparts. Precisely because it's you that has to pry open that creaky door, illuminate said dank room, and press forward step by step. It opens up all manner of possibilities for a developer to, for lack of a better term, fuck with you. Sounds in the background, footsteps that turn into rustling winds, contextual triggers that change the world around you in subtle, yet effective ways. It's all in service of that perfect jump scare, and when it hits, man, you better not have a weak disposition. The following are the 10 finest heart palpitators in gaming history. So far, anyway. So, if you're still in one piece on the other side, sound off on your favorites in the comment section down below. Coming in at number 10, we have Scarecrow's Boat from Batman Arkham City. You know, I gotta say, I certainly didn't expect a Batman game to give me the fright of my life, but then again, Rocksteady are just that talented a developer. Coming as a result of you exploring the world and seeing what lies inside a rogue ship bouncing around the outside of Gotham's harbor, you'll find a man bound to a chair, alongside a number of art assets and accessories that point to Scarecrow's doing. Upon closer inspection, you'll need to zoom in and prep your— oh god, he's still alive! The body promptly jolts back into life, right when you're attempting to focus on the logo inscribed on his chest, giving you one hell of a scare, mostly because you just don't expect it. Rocksteady would repeat this knack for making you leap out of your own skin during the Jim Gordon scene of Arkham Knight, but it's this dilapidated, roach-filled boat that takes the cake. Number 9, The Sewer Centipedes, Dark Souls 3. Just, oh god. Oh god, as if there was any need to create such a god-awful concoction of limbs and nightmare fuel. Seriously, these things, which I've since found out are called sewer centipedes, look like drowned corpses when they're not active. You spot them a mile off when exploring the depths of the Boreal Valley in Dark Souls 3. But the second you get too close, or in my case, ping an arrow off their backs just to be sure, they grow and expand in all directions. Suddenly, you've got a downright horrifying skeleton thing leaping and clawing after you like some overgrown facehugger. It's fucking awful. Kill it with fire has never, ever been uttered so much in such a small space of time. Number 8, The Swinging Corpse, Outlast. You just know a game is supremely effective at horror when it's pretty much screaming, you will get scared playing this the entire time, and still manages to catch you off guard. Case in point, the early going of Outlast, which is a masterclass in how to build tension. First, you spy a silhouette in the window of the asylum you're investigating. Then after scrambling into a vent, an enemy walks into the room you just left. You breathe a sigh of relief and slowly press forward. You go through one door, which should have something behind it. But nope, not a thing. You breathe another sigh of relief and continue. And that is when a whopping great corpse that's been strung up to the roof comes swinging right into view. You scream, you yell, you call out, but nothing's there. There are no enemies, no follow-up, nothing. Developers Red Barrel just wanted to know they could mess with your head. That's simple. From here on out, you'd never approach any room the same way again, and it's an atmosphere that makes Outlast insanely effective. At number 7, we have The Dog Through the Window, Resident Evil. Ah, the classic. The original Resi's Dog Through the Window is the video game equivalent of Spielberg's floating corpse in Jaws. It just works. Every single time. At this stage, you've either experienced it yourself or at the very least watched someone nearly crap their pants online. And if not, I definitely recommend cranking your headphones and giving it a whirl. But regardless, the key to why it's so effective comes specifically from the timing, or rather, the lack of it. You see, back in 1996, survival horror and really horror games in general, especially in 3D, had nothing in regards of how exactly you were supposed to frame a given scenario. And with that in mind, you could have traveled back and forth down this same corridor hundreds of times attempting to find the right items to progress. But once you've triggered this particular part of the code, unbeknownst to you, journeying back through said corridor triggers the evil dogs to burst through the window, meaning nobody, and I do mean nobody, saw it coming. At number 6, we have The Woman in the Corridor, PT. For as much as the gaming industry thrives off of hype, expectation, and PR in general, PT, which we'd later find out stood for Playable Teaser and would be a prelude to a now cancelled Silent Hills reboot, actually succeeded because nobody knew what it was. All that we knew was that there was some sort of scary game that Sony had mentioned we'd go play during their conference at Gamescom 2014, leaving the masses to do the rest for themselves. Of course, the reality was that its content consisted of walking around a repeating corridor, one inhabited by Lisa, the dead wife of our main character. Lisa's AI mostly acted at random, so you never knew when she was going to strike, but there was a moment where, upon your second lap of the corridor, you'd come round its corner and find her standing there, stock still, waiting. Walk forward and she disappears, but in the moment, not knowing what the game was, only being surrounded by supreme sound effects and atmosphere, this was terrifying. At number 5, we have the T-Rex Dino Crisis. Occasionally, a certain character or creature will already have... At number 5, we have the T-Rex from Dino Crisis. At number 4, we have the Boy of Silence from BioShock Infinite. BioShock Infinite really isn't associated with horror outside of its take on warped race relations and alternate history, of course. But there's one particular segment near the close of the game where you're attempting to sneak past a number of enemies called the Boys of Silence. These creatures have great big air horn type devices attached to their heads and make wretched noises if you activate them. Luckily, you can get past this entire sequence without triggering any of them. But following this, however, you'll have to activate a console with a whopping great lever. Said lever takes up the entire screen, and as you pull it down, a feeling of, well, that section's taken care of, washes over you. Only for you to turn around and see another Boy of Silence right there, staring you in the face. Let me know in the comments if you calmly dispatched this foe, or whether, like me, it was a mess of reorienting the camera and firing your weapon wildly in an attempt to bring it down. Whew. I am not a fan of those Boys of Silence. Number 3, the not-so-dead body bag, Manhunt. You knew it was coming. I mean, you don't just layer a spooky asylum corridor with loads of body bags and then not have one of them spring into life. As such, you'll cautiously make your way down all sorts of passages inside the asylum, traveling to and fro, past the same bodies over and over. The game is already slow-paced, thanks to the brutal repercussions for being spotted, and it's only after the third or fourth pass through a similar-looking part of the environment that you begin to feel a tad more comfortable. And then one of them springs to life. You'll scream, you'll sprint, you'll ready the shotgun. Just be aware that the trap bodies in these bags are only just the beginning of your troubles in Manhunt. Coming in at number 2, we have the feral dog from The Walking Dead Season 2. For animal lovers, this could easily be one of the most scariest moments in gaming history. No sooner have we began Season 2 of Telltale's adventure that the writers conjure up one of the most effective and mind-scarring sequences that I've ever played. Picture it. A new story has begun. We're just getting accustomed to how young Clementine is living in this post-father figure world, and wouldn't you know it, there's a helpful dog who just might make for a new best friend. Naturally, you begin petting it and exploring, eventually finding a can of food and settling down to eat it together. However, no sooner has a gentle moment played out where Clem decides to share her spoils with the dog that it goes completely feral. Within a second, your new best friend is ravenously biting your hand, all in pursuit of securing more precious sustenance. You're forced to stab it, kick it, put it down by any means necessary, lest you suffer the consequences. It's a real fight for survival, and the worst part is, you know exactly why the starving animal is acting the way it is. Honestly, maybe this was predictable to some people, but for me, I've never been more mentally shaken by a gameplay sequence in my entire life. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have the not-so-dead victim from Condemned, Criminal Origins. Sometimes the most effective jump scares are those you think you can predict the timing of, only for them to catch you unaware anyways. In Condemned, this was entirely the case. As investigator Ethan Thomas, you're uncovering the trail of one serial killer X, only for it to lead you to an abandoned school. Slowly, you press forward through the school, only to be told that a corpse in a locker is in need of analysis. You fling open the locker and... nothing. You pull out your camera and... nothing. As much as it sounds predictable as I describe it, in reality you end up zooming in on the corpse and slowly watching it come into focus. And right when it's just a second away from being crystal clear, when the shock should come, the game jumps the gun and has this character jolt back into life and grab you by the collar. They mumble some key phrases alluding to the plot, but chances are you were not listening. No, your words probably better resemble the concoction of vowels and expletives with, "Oh dear God, kill it now!" somewhere in the middle. So, what are you guys' favorite jump scares, regardless of historical importance? Let us know in the comment section down below, and don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more.